So I didn't really like Get Out, although I recognize that, in my opinion, the filmmaker behind that film, in this case Jordan Peele, was actually pretty good. I liked the technical aspects and the overall feeling Get Out had over me, but I couldn't get over like the whole racial overemphasis on racial aspect of that film. So I don't really like. I never have and never plan to own Get Out. I never really need to see it again. But I was really surprised when Us came around. I really like Us, and I do own that on Blu-ray. So I'm a pretty big fan of, not a big fan, but I'm a reasonably big fan of Us. I think as a director, Jordan Peele continued to show, in my opinion, that he's probably one of the better directors that I've seen currently working in Hollywood. And I was actually excited when his third film, Nope, came around, and I really liked the, not, well, I guess you could call it secrecy, the not revealing completely what it was about aspect to it. When it was announced before it came out in theaters and stuff this year. I mean, there was, for me, maybe I just didn't look into it enough. There was a lot of mystery about what the hell it was even about and stuff like that. And I liked the fact that the trailer didn't, it teased you and it didn't give everything away. And I was definitely intending to see Nope at some point, preferably for little money or free. Turns out I waited until I did sign up for Peacock. I probably, come to think of it, maybe late September or something, for the $2 a month trial tier for 12 months. So I'm currently still on that, and luckily, like midway, I think it was maybe November 18th, midway through November, they since Peacock is basically a Universal, they're streaming a lot of Universal stuff on there. Luckily, Nope came out on Peacock to watch for free if you're signed up on Peacock. So I was delighted about that and was able to see Nope for free. And I got to tell you, I still stand by the fact that, in my opinion, Jordan Peele is one of the more creative writers, producers, directors that's working in Hollywood right now. I really like what he's bringing to the table. And I think, honestly, all three of his films they just keep getting better and better. Like, I don't really like Get Out. I can recognize aspects in Get Out that are clever story-wise, cinematic-wise, but I just don't really, I never really liked that. Us, I actually liked enough to buy it, and I've seen it a couple times, and I'm pretty sure I would have reviewed Us years ago when it came out or whatever, so feel free to check out my review of Us. But having seen Nope now 2 times on Peacock, I'm like, yeah, I think Nope is, in my opinion, his best film yet. And the thing I love about it is that it's kind of half-assed. His first 2 films were more, I guess, more emotional, kind of psychological horror films or thrillers or whatever the hell you want to call them. And this is gravitating a little more towards, I guess, kind of in a way, summer blockbuster to an extent, where it's a combination of, remember good old M. Night Shyamalan. Jordan Peele feels like that in the early days of M. Night Shyamalan, where he feels like he's kind of a step apart from whatever a lot of the mainstream Hollywood is doing, and is kind of doing his own thing. So when I started this review, I was thinking, like, God, he reminded me of someone else. Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan, who I've kind of given up on, and I haven't really seen much of his stuff in the several years, because I just hated Lady in the Water, and that was kind of anyway, that's a whole other topic. But yeah, Jordan Peele feels like almost the next M. Night Shyamalan and stuff. And what I really enjoyed about Nope was just the combination of the conventional Jordan Peele with like a little bit of, like, if he was given a lot of money, which he was given to do this movie, what he would do in regards to more like blending his genre of whatever, horror, suspense, psychological thriller, whatever, with more of if Jordan Peele did more of his version of more of a kind of a subtle Independence Day, not that this is Independence Day, but we'll just say summer, more event film. Nope is definitely, in my opinion, out of all 3 of his films, the most one where you could say at least the last half of it, or the last third of it, is an event film. It's something that you don't really have to think about. You just like watch it in awe or whatever. And it's a real shame that my dad's no longer around because I think he would have enjoyed this being like a UFO enthusiast and stuff. I think he would have really enjoyed this, and many a time I was watching it, and when the saucer shots were going on and this and that, that I was like, God damn it, I wish he was around so he could see this, because I think he'd enjoy it as well. Just briefly, it's about basically this family of a guy and a sister and the father who own this ranch, who work for Hollywood, and they'll rent out horses. They're trainers and maybe breeders and owners of horses that they get hired on for whatever commercials, TV, movies, whatever, to just bring their horses, and their horses are rented and stuff for productions and stuff. And what happens? It's crazy how early this happens, but like right after the movie starts, the father is played by Keith David. I'm pretty sure it's Keith David. I know there's a David Keith out there, but I think that's the guy who screwed Pamela Anderson in that one really low budget action movie from the mid 90s. But I think I want to say this guy is Keith David, the guy who was also in They Live as well. It's just like there's this thing where the movie just kind of grabs your attention right away, because all this stuff kind of falls from the sky, like just keys and junk and coins and all this kind of stuff. It turns out he ends up getting, it's either I can't tell, it's either a nickel or a quarter actually goes in his eye, into his brain, and kills him. And that kind of really obviously interrupts the business with this brother and sister character. Incidentally, the sister, I find in her first third of her in this movie, I find her to be a little bit annoying, the sister character. That would be one of my only gripes about this movie. But luckily, when stuff starts hitting the fan, and they're given actually stuff they want to try to do, and try to capture this thing on video or film or whatever. When she's given a task, the annoyingness of the character kind of dies down, and when she's given a task in concentrating on that. But cut to, I don't know, months later, their business, because the dad is no longer around, and probably the primary driving force of the business and stuff, that they early on in the movie they see the characters get brother sister get fired off this one job, and things just aren't going so well. And if memory serves, he's actually to a point where he's got to sell some of the horses, possibly to make ends meet and stuff like that, and possibly not sure about even necessarily, he's got an offer to buy the ranch, and he's not sure maybe even about keeping it, but he wants to, because it's like the family legacy or whatever. And then what's cool about the movie is that all this stuff that falls out of the sky at the beginning of the movie that kills his dad, and puts a key lands into a horse ass, sticks into a horse here, one of the horses. I want to say it's Ghost, possibly, maybe the white horse or whatever. I love how that's just like not really explained, and the authorities in the movie just write it off as a bunch of stuff that fell from some plane in the sky or something like that, and the viewer just kind of, I guess, just takes that explanation as well, like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's the only explanation or whatever. And as the movie wears on, it quickly becomes something about, like, I want to say it's like at some point it cuts to like 6 months after the father's death or whatever, and they're at a point where he's selling the horses and maybe thinking about selling the ranch and stuff like this. And there's a one night scene, and I gotta say, being a really big outdoor enthusiast and nighttime outdoor enthusiast and stuff, and one of the good things, I do live in Minnesota, and one of the good things about winters in Minnesota is that a winter on an overcast night in anywhere with snow, it's so freaking bright out, and it's just so beautiful how in the winter, if you've got snow on the ground and it's overcast, how it's actually so bright in the middle of the night. And that's one thing I actually do love about winter, is being able to just, if you want to, we don't even need a flashlight. You can go on walks or whatever in the woods in the middle of the night in the winter, and you can just see so well. This movie has a lot of scenes that are, this movie takes place in California in the desert on this horse ranch. A lot of scenes early on that are like take place at night, where he's seeing the UFO or the alien saucer thing or whatever the hell you want to call it, and stuff. And it's I looked a little bit into it. I guess it's a mixture of, I don't know if it's I'm not 100% sure. They did some kind of fancy visual effects trickery or blending of images or something like that too, or different filming cameras or techniques or whatever to accomplish this basically effect of being at night out in the desert lit by moonlight and stuff, but I just love the scenes that take place at night because they really have a natural, just nighttime, what you'd be able to see with your naked eye. I wasn't sure watching this the first time if this was shot digitally or not. I just assumed it was. Turns out it's actually shot on 35 and a lot of 65 millimeter IMAX film work in this movie as well, which is really cool. And I want to say it's like one of the first horror movies that actually shot IMAX footage, 65 millimeter footage. And I don't know if I'd really even call it a horror movie. It's more of like just a maybe more of a thriller or something, or mystery slash thriller. I don't know if I would, being a huge horror fan and a slasher fan, I don't know if I'd really categorize this as horror, just like thriller maybe or something like that, even a little bit of action towards the end. But yeah, the nighttime scenes with the stars and however they accomplished it, I was pretty sure it was either just shot digitally and that was they were able to shoot actual low light because of that, or somehow it actually looks more like some kind of visual effect was utilized to achieve that look, which I guess turns out to be what it was. So to make this review not as long as it otherwise might be, I'll just simply say that not long into the movie they start, the brother character, which is, I want to say it is the guy from Get Out as well. He sees this like UFO thing, and then him and his, because the money's, the business is uncertain and money's not going so well these days, or income and jobs and stuff like that, him and his sister decide, well, let's try to, actually, capture this thing on video so we can sell the, the video or photos and make a lot of, make income that way. So then they end up, recruiting this guy from this, I guess in the West Coast there's a kind of a Best Buy-ish kind of electronics outfit by the name of Fry's. I wasn't sure if it was just an outfit that was made up for the movie or not, but I guess Fry's is actually in existence in possibly the West Coast of North America. They go to this, a big plug for Fry's, by the way, and they end up going to this Fry's and buying all this security camera stuff, and this guy is kind of an asshole, but he kind of, the salesman or whatever, you kind of get to like. It's funny how the sister kind of annoyed me and this Fry's guy kind of annoyed me initially, but as the movie wears on, I think their characters become less, either you get used to them or their characters become less abrasive. I think the characters just become less abrasive as the movie wears on, and they all have a focus. And I just love the organicness of the way the story tells itself. And the way I describe this movie is, so often these days you have a movie and it's all about, it's surrounding the characters. The story is kind of incidental or plays second fiddle to like the characters and what they're about and what they're up to. And what I love about this movie is it's about what's going on, and the characters are just a part of it. So story, I don't know if I'd even say story, premise of what's going on with this mysterious saucer thing is first and foremost in this movie, and the characters just are there to serve as a reactionary to what's going on with the saucer, and whether that's what he intended or not, that's how I see it when I watch the movie. Now, once again, as I said, having seen it twice, and I'm definitely going to buy the Blu-ray when it comes down to $15 or less. What I love about the movie is it's not a movie that's like beginning, middle, end. It has something. Well, I mean, I guess it kind of does. The goal is to get some film footage or photo footage and or both of the things. So it does have kind of a goal that they want to achieve, but it's more of a realistic, real world kind of a goal instead of like, okay, we got to do this or that. And a lot of movies have like step goals, even like this. It's very simple and straightforward, and I don't know, these are the kind of movies I really gravitate towards, where there's just one simple, goal or something they want to accomplish, and then just watching it unfold. And it does so in such a beautifully organic way, where this Fry's guy comes into the picture and sets up the cameras, and this guy he offers to whatever, help them or whatever, and they just decline. But then later on, some other night, he's at work and looking at their feed, and noticing that one of the cameras is out, so he kind of gets dragged in to the situation, just because, very organically, because he has an interest in it. And I just love how that Fry's guy ends up being a part of it. And then also the guy who played the bad guy in the original Crow movie is in this movie. He's the cinematographer guy that they met on the commercial or whatever it was that they got fired from early on in the beginning. He plays a part, brings his homemade, hand-cranked frickin' film cameras and IMAX cameras and stuff, because this thing, this saucer thing, whenever it, you know, hovers over the, you know, in a proximity to where you are or whatever, it kills it, all electronics, lights, cell phones, batteries on vehicles, just anything electric or at all. And that comes into a really fun, you know, goings on as the movie goes on and stuff, and in particular with the end and all the stupid, I don't know what they're called, those, you know, used car lot flaggy, you know, things that blow with a fan, and they're just like that, and those end up, you know, being utilized in a really cool way for them to tell where this, you know, this mysterious saucer is at any given point. But that's the premise, and I just love how organically all the characters come together to, you know, just, you know, try to achieve this mutual goal. And I guess they all want to pretty much, I think it's all, you know, part fascination with them, and they all want to make as much bank as possible with catching something like this on still camera or film or anything. But, you know, my whole thing is, you know, that's a cool plot point and everything, but my only thing about that is, like, in today's Photoshop era, I mean, what you know, particularly because the end of the movie, you know, involves the sister character getting a still photo of this thing, and it's kind of like, well, in today's Photoshop world, I mean, what the hell credence does a still photo of anything have? I mean, anyone can make anything on a still photo. I mean, not necessarily as easy on, you know, with the film footage or whatever, but the whole, you know, admittedly it was really cool how, and I'll let you watch the movie to have you see how the sister character ends up with the still photo, but admittedly it's a really cool and clever way that she ended up getting the still photo, but it's kind of like, when she gets it, it's like, yay, as the audience, you're like, way to go and stuff, but then you're kind of like, well, Jesus, you know, that's easily fakeable. But maybe the fact that it's on like a big huge Polaroid slab, maybe it is a fact that it's not fakeable, because that kind of a, you know, an instant Polaroid image or something probably can't be faked. So maybe that would be the excuse to anyone watching the movie like me, who would go, well, yeah, but how is a still image of anything proof of anything when a, you know, an 10-year-old on her phone can make something that looks realistic on some application, you know, painting app or photo app or whatever. But maybe the fact that it's on that actual, like, whatever, all I can call it is like the Insta Polaroid kind of big film sheet, whatever, that comes out of the well camera and instantly, you know, after several seconds or whatever, just kind of shows up like a Polaroid picture does. I guess that would be like well, this isn't faked because this is a, you know, a Polaroid picture image or whatever. But my biggest problem with this movie is this really weird side story thing, and that has to do with and if you've seen this movie and you're wondering why I haven't touched on this yet, and this is why I'm getting to, I saved it for the closer to the end, is this whole thing with Gordy and the chimp or the monkey or whatever it is in the sitcom, and the monkey that goes crazy. I really don't understand what the subplot of the other alternate plot of, like, having that orangutan or monkey go havoc on a sitcom set, and, you know, while they're filming a sitcom, and killing a couple people and getting shot itself. I really don't know what that has to do with anything. I'm sure there might be some huge, you know, deeper meaning to that or whatever, but honestly that was very confusing. The first time I saw this movie it was a little more confusing. Honestly, I do feel like the monkey sitcom extra, I don't know if you want to call it a subplot, but the extra plot, the extra bit with the whole history of the sitcom with the orangutan or whatever the hell it is that went berserk, is just like not needed. If I did a Nate cut, that wouldn't even be there. And then there's this Asian character who was the kid on that set who survived and witnessed it and survived. And I don't know what the hell the deal is with that one tendon or that one shoe that's just sitting straight up on its own and stuff like that. That's probably another, you know, esoteric, freaking deeper meaning plot point or whatever that I don't understand or whatever. But yeah, the only thing I really didn't like about this movie was the you know, orangutan going berserk on the sitcom set. I thought that was just not necessary, and honestly that Asian character, you know, that whole stuff wasn't necessary. And there's a confusing stuff, like when you watch it the first time you're kind of confused about what the hell's happening, but seeing it a second time, I realized that the Asian guy who's a part of this, like, I don't know, there's like a Western themed whatever, just amusement park or just theme park or whatever. I guess it's based on some, fake television series or something that's within the universe of this movie or whatever. But this guy who was the kid who survived that orangutan monkey guy or monkey thing, which is all CG, by the way, and it's just like, it would have been a lot more cool if they could have trained, if they really would have had a real orangutan do that stuff, because the fact that it's CG just really takes you out of it. Is just like, okay, CG orangutan going, berserk, ooh. And I don't know if that orangutan stuff was just because all the saucer stuff and everything that goes on with the saucer stuff is rather tame, and maybe he felt like to put some more grisly stuff going on in the movie, we got to have this, this orangutan monkey thing go insane on this set of the sitcom so we can get some blood into this movie. I don't know if that's the reason for it or what, but yeah, so anyway, so one thing that I didn't quite catch the first time I watched it was the fact that this amusement park thing, a ways off, you can kind of see it from the ranch. They have before the ranch discovered it, I guess, or before the guy, the son at the ranch discovered it, I guess they have discovered this saucer thing, which they feed horses or something like that. I don't know if that's why he was going to sell some of his horses to this place early on in the movie, not knowing that they feed him to the saucer thing. But I didn't quite understand it the first time I watched it, because this movie, another thing I love about it is it doesn't explain everything to the viewer. You just have to watch it and get things yourself. So that was the benefit of seeing it a second time, is that I didn't get that detail the first time, because you see this stuff, you're not sure what's going on, and then later on it's revealed. And like I say, it's hard for me to get every single detail in a first viewing anyway. But so apparently, the people at this ranch have been, making this like a nightly show to feed this saucer thing horses, and they charge people to witness it. I guess I don't understand why, if they're doing that, you think this whole saucer thing would be discovered and shut down or completely taken over by the government. So that's like a fake aspect of this movie. Like, how are they going to have this, charge people to do this, have this set up and, feed horses to this saucer, and not have the government find out about it and just shut them down and declare this whole area, government zone. And so that aspect, I didn't even know that was necessarily happening the first time I watched it. So that aspect is kind of like the second thing about the movie that I don't really like, because it's not very realistic. Like, how do they do this for unless they just started it and they're just on the first week of doing it or something. But I don't think so, because the guy's got a UFO signed into the, stitched into the back of his jacket, and I don't know. So that's the second thing. And the second, and I think out of only two things that I really didn't like about this movie was the whole aspect of this guy setting up this UFO extravaganza, let's feed it horses or whatever the hell we do with it or whatever. But other than that, I thought the movie was really fun and very organic in the way it unraveled and unfolded, and I really appreciated the slow build up. The movie's like 2 hours and 15 minutes or so long, probably 2:05 if I'm sure the end credits are probably 10 minutes long, but yeah, I really like the slow build. I guess another thing I didn't love about it necessarily, maybe the third and final thing actually, was the little bit of kind of the prank on the son, the ranch owner guy with the three kids dressed up as aliens or whatever. Kind of a cheat, but whatever. They were people that worked for the thing down the hill, where they actually have a spectacle and people pay them to sit and watch them feed horses, I guess, to the saucer thing or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I guess the thing about that saucer thing is it's kind of a necessary plot point, because later on they try to do it. The saucer comes early, and the horse doesn't want to go out there, so the saucer actually comes to the audience and sucks everyone at the theme park up. So I guess that was kind of a necessary reason to have the theme park thing be there. So as a result, it was kind of fun. What's really cool, this might be an hour or maybe an hour or so halfway through the movie at this point, and And then the saucer thing kind of, this is at night and it's actually raining now, and or actually I don't know if it's raining yet, but the saucer like goes over the house, and then it does this thing where you can hear all the people and you get to see inside all the people being sucked up, and it kind of reminds you of the Fire in the Sky movie where it was all like, I don't know, they're all, you know, it's almost like they're, you know how like fish or whatever they got, like is it whales or something, they have all they take a big mouthful of fish or whatever, and they've got some stuff in their mouth or whatever that I don't know, just squeegee the nutrients from the fish out. Anyway, it's the same kind of thing where we quickly find out, maybe halfway through, I guess it's not that quick, but halfway through in the movie we kind of find out without it being said necessarily that this is not like a metal spaceship operated by aliens. It's like this saucer itself is like an organic alien, which is a really great twist. So it's actually just here to feed, and we kind of witness that. And what's really cool is it's flying over the house, you hear all the people that are still alive in the saucer, you know, trapped up in it, are like screaming and shit. It's hovering over the you know, the ranch house. And then it, like, they must have did something where it squished them all and took all of the nutrients, and obviously at that moment they all die. And all the blood pours out, and everything that it can't ingest and use as nutrients to feed on comes out. And all of a sudden, clink, clunk, 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 all this stuff coming out of the, you know, of the monster, you know, landing on the ground. And then you're like, oh, well, that's what it was at the beginning of the movie. I love how they didn't explain it at the beginning of the movie. They just left you like, just like everyone, the characters in the movie, well, it must have been from a plane. But then later on, halfway into the movie, you find out what it really was from, and you get to see what the actual cause of it was. So that was really cool. And from this point on, honestly, the movie was really, you know, for a lot of younger viewers or people with not so much great attention spans, it might be, the first half might be a little more difficult to sit through. But if you can get to the middle of it, for me, like the last half of it is just a thrill. And for me, none of it's boring. I mean, I just love the way this guy writes and directs and uses visual, you know, uses cinema visually and editorially. So it's always interesting to me, except for, of course, I'm not, like I say, my least favorite aspect of this movie is the whole sitcom massacre scene stuff and CG orangutan or whatever the hell it is. But, you know, everything else is, I really do like about this movie. So I guess maybe that'll pretty much do it. I'll let you guys see the movie for yourself to see how it ends. I do want to say that the little extra bit with the guy who shows up must be some vlogger or something who shows up on the electric motorcycle with the chrome reflective, you know, helmet and mask and stuff, who you never see his face, and what ends up happening to him is really kind of funny, and, you know, a little bit of maybe electric vehicles have some drawbacks kind of a thing or whatever, but of course, you know, gas-powered vehicles don't fare any better to the saucer thing either, because they're all part electric as well. But yeah, I guess if I can complain about one more thing, I mean, I understand why you got to do it from a cinematic and audible or sound design aspect, but the fact when someone's got, you know, when the saucer is going over and taking power, you know, draining power or powering down anything electric and stuff, how things like if someone's got music or the radio on or something in their car, it's like that. I think is, I mean, I haven't tested it, but I think that's kind of unrealistic. I think the only thing that would like start going in regards to audio that's playbackable that would go and slow down would be the record that, you know, that is played in the movie. There's a turntable record playing. And maybe an audio cassette or something in a vehicle. But I mean, like, if you're just listening to satellite radio or just normal radio or even just MP3 or CD in a vehicle, it's not going to go, the music in the vehicle is not going to slow down. So that was one aspect that I think is, at least in theory, I don't think it would slow down. It's just like, that wouldn't happen, like when power's cut on something that's not a record or a tape or something like that. It's just gonna like turn off, you know. And so that whole aspect of people's, you know, the radios or whatever that are playing in people's vehicles when the saucers flying over it going, that's just like, yeah, that's dumb. But I mean, it's like everything too. But I understand from like a sound design standpoint, you want to kind of make it more meaningful in that respect. So I guess I can let that go. But a star rating for for Nope. I was going back and forth in my mind right now, and I can go as high as 3.5 stars out of 4 stars for Nope. I guess it'd be closer to 3 3/4 if it wasn't for that, frickin' sitcom massacre aspect. That part of it I don't really think is necessary. And honestly, if you didn't have any of that at all, it'd probably cut out maybe it would reduce the movie's running time maybe by 5 or 10 minutes, which would be fine. Yeah, not a big fan. Not for any particular reason. I just think that it doesn't necessarily. I don't know why it's there. I mean, I can appreciate if it's just there for some random aspect, kind of like Mike Yanagita from Fargo aspect or whatever. Like, there's no reason Mike Yanagita is a part of Fargo other than to be just like, well, we've got, I don't know why Mike Yanagita is a part of Fargo, but if he's just putting the sitcom massacre into Nope is just like a random why is this even there aspect, I mean, fine, but it still doesn't mean I like it. Like, that's one aspect of it that it's that's the one aspect of the movie that I dislike the most. So I guess that pretty much does it for my review of Nope. Definitely going to I've seen it a couple times in the course of 2 or 3 days. Definitely going to pick it up on Blu-ray. I haven't experienced it on the theater with the surround. I'm sure the sound design for this movie is crazy. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to comment on is this movie. I don't know what it's officially called, but this movie on at home video, even on streaming, surprisingly, had the shifting aspect ratios from the wide to the 16:9 for the widescreen TV and stuff. And honestly, I might make a separate video about that at some point. I'm not a huge fan of the shifting aspect ratios. I kind of don't understand why that is done on home video. It's like if you're going to shoot a movie, I don't know. I mean, I guess in a way it might make the spectacle stuff maybe a little more spectacleness. I don't know. It is kind of cool, I suppose, when it goes from more of a wide movie to black bars top and bottom to opening it up for the spectacle. And I will say, before I even knew that it was that some of the the action scenes or whatever were shot on 65mm, you could tell, like, when the camera, just by the lenses probably, but like some of those shots of the camera following the motorcycle or them on the horse, with the big sprawling valley of the just the desert terrain and stuff. Like, I just, before I even knew, and I watched like the end, the first time I watched it, I watched all the end credits, and it was like, oh wow, filmed in 65mm. And I was like, yeah, I could tell, because it just had that really sharp, something about the lenses, and those, some of them scenes, it just had that really sharp, big, huge movie feel to it. So this would have been cool to see. I don't think I've ever seen anything on IMAX that hasn't been like one of them 45-minute, like a specifically IMAX. Like, I haven't seen a movie, a traditional just feature-length movie at IMAX, or I'm too cheap is pretty much the main reason. But this would have been really cool with for them IMAX scenes or whatever. But like I say, I'm going to be cheap bastard and wait for the Blu-ray to come down, but this will be probably pretty good on a projector with the surround sound that I've got and stuff. So I imagine the sound design is crazy good on this movie or whatever. But yeah, being an outdoor and enthusiast and aficionado, I really enjoyed that the last half of this movie. So much of this movie took place outdoors, and those really cool night scenes that they made it to look like nighttime lit by moonlight and stuff. So yeah, I mean, in closing, I just think that Jordan Peele, I mean, it kind of makes me excited about his fourth movie. Like, it's just like, for me, his movies just keep getting better. Like, the first two are more psychological, and this one's not so much that. It's got a little bit of that, but it's mostly like turns into spectacle, which is really cool. And what I loved about this movie is, and probably a lot of it's due to me just not being whatever motivated enough to seek into what the hell it was about. But the marketing campaign about this movie, that was kind of mysterious, and he didn't really necessarily even know what the movie was about. By the time I saw it, unfortunately, I just, from reading over the months and stuff, I knew it was about like a UFO or a saucer thing or whatever. But I still didn't know necessarily very much what it was about. So it was really cool to just have it unfold and just, I guess, experience it. So that's my take on Nope. Apologies if the review went on a little long. That can happen, especially when is a movie that it's 2022, and there's a movie that I actually really like. And for the record, granted, I haven't seen many new movies from this year. Possibly, what the hell have I seen? No, all I can think of was Top Gun Maverick, the last Jurassic World movie, and this. I don't know if that's the. In fact, I just saw 3 movies that came out this year. It very well might be possible. Oh, well, I saw Halloween Ends as well. Yeah, well, this is better than Halloween Ends. I'm sure everyone out there would agree as well. But yeah, my favorite movie out of new movies that came out in 2022, and it'll probably remain that as the year's almost over. So at least in 2022, we got a movie that I actually really liked enough to see it frickin' 2 times within a 2 or 3 day period. So thank you very much for watching, if anyone made it this far into the video. Oh, yeah, I ended up getting a haircut, so the hair actually looked stupid uncombed, so I'm afraid I did comb my hair, and by having shorter hair it's easier to comb and get it under control. But you know, if I do end up, you know, once it's going to get long again, so like when it gets longer and if I end up waking up and it actually looks kind of fun, I'll do some more. It's not the end of the uncombed hair, but you know, once it's funner to do when my hair is longer. So I'll do a little bit more of that messy hair stuff when my hair gets longer again and stuff like that, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are just watching, you know, and anticipating for the freaky hair. Honestly, this morning with the shorter hair, it just looked stupid, but I suppose you guys would be fine with that. It's just like, it looked like a cone head, like it was just, I guess I could, whatever. I do what I feel like on the day, so I felt like combing it. Plus I haven't washed it for a couple days, so it's got some natural scalp oil in there. I'm sure you guys are so thrilled about my hair situation. But at any rate, thank you guys very much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one.